So today I'm going to teach you how to get the coordinates of the unit circle using your hand. And we got to remember that this trick gives you the coordinates of quadrant number 1, but once we get those coordinates we can get the rest of the coordinates. And so we got to use some imagination. And so just imagine that your hand makes a 90-degree right here. Now this is our 45. Now this finger right here gives us the 30, the 0, this finger, and this gives us our 60-degree. Now if we're trying to find, for example, the coordinates of the angle 45, we're gonna fold that finger. So for 45 we're gonna fold the middle finger, this finger, and we're gonna be left with these two fingers and these two fingers. So the rule to get the coordinates, it's simple. It's just once you get that number, we're gonna square root it and divide that number by 2. And so this side is gonna give us our x, and this side over here our y's. Now for our x and our y, let's find our x. So we get the square root of 2 fingers over 2, and now for our y we're left with 2 fingers, so the square root of 2 over 2, and that gives us the coordinates for our 45-degree angle. And I apologize for my handwriting. Okay, now let's try to do the 30-degree angle. So we're gonna fold this finger, and we are left with 3 fingers on this side, so the square root of 3 fingers over 2. And now for our y, we are left with just 1 finger, so the square root of 1 over 2, and the square root of 1, it's equal to 1 and over 2. So that's our coordinates. So square root of 3 over 2 and 1/2. Now we're gonna do this for practice. Now let's try to do angle 60. So we fold this finger, so we're left with 1 finger on the right side, so the square root of 1 over 2, and the square root of 1, we said it's 1, 2. So now for our y, we're left with 3 fingers, so the square root of 3 fingers over 2, and that gives us our coordinates. So it's going to be 1/2 and the square root of 3 over 2. Now let's do 0. So we fold our pinky, and we are left with 4 fingers on the right side, so the square root of 4 over 2, and the square root of 4, it's 2, and 2 divided by 2, that's 1. So now as you can see, we're left with 0 fingers on this side, so the square root of 0 over 2, and the square root of 0, it's 0 over 2. And when you divide a number by 0, or when you divide 0 by a number, that gives you 0. So our coordinates 1 and 0. Now let's do the 90-degree angle. So we fold our thumb, we fold it, and we are left with 0 fingers for our x, so the square root of 0 over 2, and that gives us 0 divided by 2, and that's equal to 0. Now on this side we're left with 4 fingers for our y, so the square root of 4 over 2, and the square root of 4, that's 2, and 2 divided by 2, that's 1. Sorry, I wrote this backwards, or not backwards, but so our x is 0 and our y, that's 1. Okay, so now we have our coordinates, and I'm gonna erase this, and we're gonna draw the unit circle, or just part of the unit circle. So I'm gonna try my best. Okay, so if you remember, um, radians, 0 radians, this is pi over 3 radians, pi over 4, and pi over 6, and pi over 2. And I always get these two confused, so this is actually pi over 3 and pi over 6. Pi over 3 and pi over 6. So we set our coordinates for 0, that's 1 and 0, and it makes sense because we move 1, and this is a unit circle, which means it has a radius 1, so we move 1 horizontally, but we don't move up, so that's 0. So now here, that's the square root of 3, 2, and 1/2. Now this is square root of 2 over 2, and this is 1/2 square root of 3 over 2, and 0 and 1. And hope this helped, and I'm sorry for my handwriting. And leave your comments, and good luck with your trigonometry homework. Hope this helped, and see you next time.